Batman has the distinction of being one of the most popular superheroes of all time, next to Spider-Man or Superman. As a comic book character, he's resonated with the public through darker storytelling, mystery solving, and his iconic rogues gallery. Batman is also the superhero with the most theatrical films released. And with that said, hey, I'm Josh with the gabspot, and this week we're ranking the theatrically released Batman films. The rules being, of course, they must be theatrically released and be set around Batman. So, let's go. This movie nearly killed the Bat franchise. It stopped what initially had been a powerhouse of films. Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze is a lot of fun, but the over-the-top performances does not really work for emotional scenes at all. I really can't stand Robin in this.
You just can't stand that maybe she wanted me instead of you. I mean, that's your idea of friendship, isn't it, Bruce?
Shut the fuck up, Robin. George Clooney kinda sucks as Batman. George Clooney kinda sucks in most of the movies he's in, except maybe Dusk Till Dawn. It's really silly and annoying at times. It's like a revamped 90s version of the Adam West Batman with all the goofy, over-the-top villains. More on that later. I understand that this was directed by Joe Schumacher, who is responsible for doing The Lost Boys, but nah, I'm not a fan. Not a fan. It's more like Joe Shitmaker for this movie. Like, I can't imagine a self-respecting adult actually enjoying this movie, unless it's like for nostalgia purposes, which I don't have. Not for this movie. Trash. Can. It's not that bad, but it's not that great either. Jim Carrey as the Riddler is pretty funny. I don't like the hair. I remember thinking, wait, Billy D. Williams was Harvey Dent in the first film, so, I mean, like, what happened? I guess after that director's shakeup of Batman Returns, the role was up for grabs. Tommy Lee Jones gives an alright performance, but again, like, with the over-the-top, cartoony Saturday morning cartoon villains, bruh, it's just not... I'm not a fan of it, and it's not funny either. I mean, Jim Carrey's funny sometimes, but like, with these fucking sound effects? Yeah, no. A fun fact for this movie, apparently Tommy Lee Jones pulled Jim Carrey aside and told him, I cannot sanction your buffoonery.
Like this, and he went like to hug me and he said, I hate you. I really don't like you. Like that. and I said, gee man, what's the problem? Like that. And I pulled up a chair, which probably wasn't smart. And he said, I cannot sanction your buffoonery.
What are you talking about? I mean, I'm sure some people find Jim Carrey annoying, but this movie would have definitely sucked entirely if it weren't for him. I mean, Batman sucks in this movie. No real character development occurs. I guess like there's a half-baked romance between him and Dr. Chase, which is unnecessary, and it kind of drags down the rest of the film. And then they just throw Robin in here again. Like, seriously, I'm not a fan of Robin in these movies, bruh. They probably introduced too many elements into one film, and they definitely introduced too many of these stupid sound effects. There are quite a few of you who didn't know this movie existed. I can guarantee it, because I completely forgot about it. But let me tell you, growing up as a fan of Batman the Animated Series and the Batman on Kids WB, this was not the right movie to start out with. With all that said, it's hilarious. If you look at the Adam West Batman series as an over-the-top parody of the Batman mythos, there is a lot to enjoy here. It's not good. A lot of stupid antics like not being able to tell Kitka is clearly Catwoman in disguise, but easily deducing that this gentleman is the Penguin.
Holy costume party, that's the Penguin.
Obviously.
What's his game, I wonder?
It doesn't make any sense. Robin's weird exclamations, while kind of funny at first, start getting real fucking annoying towards the end.
Holy Halloween!
These are just a few of the things that really make it a chore to sit through sometimes. It works a little bit, but most of the time it's just a lot of dumb nonsense. But at the same time, it's a lot of fun, dumb nonsense. It really depends on what kind of mood you're in. Of course, I like this movie. I know it's not good, but I like this movie a lot. So yeah, it's on HBO Max with the rest of them, so I'd say check it out.
some days you just can't get rid of a bomb.
I don't even know if I can count this movie, but I guess it's a Batman film. It's funny. I wasn't really invested in what was going on in the movie at all. I really like Will Arnett as Batman. I think he's hilarious. But I also like Will Arnett as a talking horse and as Deathstroke. So, I mean, I guess I'll take as much Will Arnett as I can get, even if it's in a Reese's commercial. I remember loving the Lego movie when I was younger. I did not realize they were going to make a bunch of theatrical release Lego movies like this. This is wild. I remember watching Max G's review on this movie years ago, and him saying that he preferred the Joker's teeth being, like those long, jangly ones. Not these sharp, fang-like teeth. And I gotta say, I agree. I don't know. I always thought that looks dumb. But I guess they both look dumb. It's a Lego. Alright, it's a good movie. It's okay. It's cute. It's not really anything here to run home about. Like, it's the best Batman movie of all time. It's not. It's cute, though. Alright, now we're getting to the good stuff. This is my least favorite of the Nolan trilogy, but by all means, it is not bad. It continues the previous film's discussion on what Gotham needs to be a better place for the people, and whether, after the events of The Dark Knight, Bruce is capable of rising to those occasions. This movie contains the world's most recognizable version of Bane, who is indeed ruthless in this film. His strange anesthetic mask gives a uniqueness to the character that's resonated enough for it to be used in other appearances.
And who is capable of disarming such a device?
Did you put a down payment on a bounty to kill Harley Quinn?
Ultimately, a serviceable end to the Nolan trilogy. Watching Bruce finally move on and live a better life is satisfying. Of course, it being so low, I have a few issues with it. I never found Anne Hathaway to be a very convincing Catwoman. It's just bad casting to me, and her suit is lame and generic. It also gets on my nerves how much Alfred is ready to just abandon Bruce like this. But I don't know, maybe he was just getting desperate. Bruce did seemingly die for a little bit at the end there, but if you were paying attention to what Lucius Fox said earlier in the film, you know for sure that Bruce likely did the drone thing. A great introduction to Christopher Nolan's Batman. Bruce being presented as a self-righteous and self-pitying crybaby that would kill the man who shot his parents is kind of an interesting take to me. It's great to watch him grow and become more prepared to take on Gotham as he's trained with Ra's al Ghul, played quite threateningly by Liam Neeson. It's also an interesting choice to have Ra's be the man who trained Bruce initially. You watch Batman the animated series and you see him going to many different people all over the world to train in different aspects that would be able to help him become Batman. Like, he even apprenticed as an escape artist in one of the episodes, if I can remember properly. It's just interesting that the League of Shadows is mostly responsible for molding this version of The Dark Knight. It's a fun watch, and I can tell they took a lot of inspiration from the classic comic book Year One in the making of this movie. They did that for Phantasm too, I think. More on that later. So yeah, I love all the Christopher Nolan Batman movies, but yeah, this is my second favorite. An underrated classic. This is one of my personal favorites. The budget's been up since the last Batman film, and it shows. Danny DeVito, Michelle Pfeiffer, and Christopher Walken give great performances here. Most specifically, Michelle Pfeiffer for being my favorite cinematic version of Catwoman.
Meow.
The sort of dark humor presented in the original film is upped as well. It may not be for everyone. At the time, it was a little too much for audiences, which led to Warner execs nixing Tim Burton and replacing him with Joe Shitmaker for Batman Forever. It is indeed darker. Several murders occur on screen. Even in the first one, I'm sure that this guy died here, but it's definitely more pronounced here. Catwoman is pushed out of a window, Harley Quinn style. The main villains are killed off pretty brutally at the end, but I love darker takes on The Dark Knight, because of course I do, it's fun. Very promising for this generation's Batman, Robert Pattinson, initially a strange choice in my mind for casting, really slips into this role as both Bruce Wayne and Batman. He's actually presented as a detective here who looks for clues. You know what I mean? Zoe Kravitz is pretty good as Catwoman. The sort of class divide between these two is made quite apparent during their conversations, but these aren't added to the story to sort of virtue signal. They help with character development and even further aspects of the plot. You feel bad for Selina's current situation and want to hold out hope that her friend is alright, but Falcone is a crafty, evil son of a bitch. This is the only Batman movie that presents Carmine Falcone as a primary antagonist, which I can only applaud them for. In addition to the movie's real villain, the Riddler. As much as I like Jim Carrey as the Riddler in whatever movie he was in, this movie's much more grounded, almost Zodiac-like version of him is a very welcome creative decision. I kind of wonder if they picked up Penguin being a club owner from BTAS. Great movie, hope to see more from this world, loved it. Another classic that didn't get its proper acclaim at the time. This being a direct adaptation of the iconic Batman the Animated Series, it was released theatrically with little advertising, so nobody saw it. But if you haven't seen it, you definitely should. A problem with a lot of these Batman films is how bloated they become sometimes. If it's not too long, you're dealing with a bunch of stupid nonsense that seems to be mainly aimed at little kids. Neither of those problems are presented in this film, however. Batman Year One was an obvious inspiration for many of Bruce's flashbacks. There is a genuine romance that you can get behind in this film. Bruce is actually being a detective. I can't stress enough how integral that is to the character. Mark Hamill as the Joker is superb. The animation is stellar. The villain is mysterious and formidable for Batman. You can tell a lot of work was put into this. It was a labor of love. The most important film in the whole franchise. Batman '89 has to be one of the most important superhero movies ever made. It's one of the first films to have a massive advertisement campaign through merchandise and commercials on television.
They've come out with mugs and a whole catalog of Batman memorabilia. In fact, there is even a 1-800-BATMAN number in here to get your merchandise to you faster.
It was virtually inescapable during the late 80s. It brought interest back to the Batman mythos that would lead to BTAS, one of the greatest animated series of all time to be created. Danny Elfman's theme for Batman is still associated with the character to this day. Though it's a classic and very important for the franchise, it's not perfect. Strangely, Bruce's parents are shown to be killed by the Joker, which is just an odd choice, and I'm sure a lot of fans retroactively did not appreciate it. Something they also didn't appreciate was frickin' Alfred letting news reporter Vicky Vale into the Batcave and just exposing Bruce's secret identity. They try to make up for it in the Batman Returns movie.
Security? Who let Vicky Vale into the Batcave? I'm sitting there working and I turn around, there she is. Oh, hi Vic, come on in.
But Alfred, that was dumb as hell. I love this movie though. It's a dark introduction to a character that most people still associated with this. Jack Nicholson as the Joker in this movie is genuinely scary, but also hilarious at times.
Wait till they get a load of me.
This film's depiction of the Joker toxin is hilarious, but also, pretty creepy. Michael Keaton as Batman is great too. Bruce is kind of crazy in this film. When people argue that he might be just as insane as the crooks he puts away, they got a point.
Stop.
But I've always found his explanation for what he does to be fascinating.
Look, sometimes I don't know what to think about this. It's just something I have to do.
Why?
Because nobody else can.
It's not super pretentious with a whole lot of cluttered up backstory. It's simple but effective, and that's the best way to describe this masterpiece. My personal favorite superhero film of all time. Heath Ledger gives an iconic performance as the Joker, and is definitely the best part of the film. He gives a genuinely disturbing performance as the Clown Prince of Crime.
He comes at me with a knife. Why so serious? He sticks the blade in my mouth. Let's put a smile on that face. And... why so serious?
Bruce is pushed to a new limit here, as well as Harvey Dent and Gordon. It's great to see towards the end that Joker is proven wrong, that the chaos he engineered isn't necessarily something that's lying underneath the people of the city. Aaron Eckhart delivers a brilliant performance that gets you really feeling pretty upset when things start going south.
No one else will die because of me. Gotham's in your hands now. You can't. You can't give in. You can't give in!
Eckhart? Wait a minute.
Eckhart! Think about the future.
That's not related. His transformation into Two-Face is upsetting and gnarly as hell. The action in this film is the best of the series. It's the best action in any of these Batman movies. I mean, it's just fucking awesome. I've seen a lot of dumb action scenes in these movies, so it was great to go back and see it done the right way. 11 out of 10. Best film of the franchise. Rip Heath Ledger. Fuck you, Rachel, you self-righteous bitch.